Good morning, Zimbabwe, and welcome once again to Zimbabwe Daily. My name is Yvonne Muchaka, and we're coming to you live from our studios. This is In Pursuit of Social Justice, a program where we bring you sector by sector analysis of the challenges, the excitement things, and even the requests that the various sectors have to the government of Zimbabwe. My name is Yvonne Muchaka. Join us after this short break as we introduce to you our guests for today. Great. Today on the program, we have invited the Zimbabwe Banks and Allied Workers Union to tell us a little bit more about their union and about the sector. Joining me in the studio is the General Secretary. I'll allow you to introduce yourself.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. My name is Ngandu. I'm the Acting General Secretary for the Zimbabwe Banks and Allied Workers Union.
Right. Tell us a little bit about the union.
So the Zimbabwe Banks and Allied Workers Union is a trade union that was formed as far back as 1965, during the Rhodesia era, when then it was serving predominantly the white employees who were then the workers then. But over the period of time, it has transformed itself. At independence, it became ZIBAWU, until it then changed its name to now the Zimbabwe Banks and Allied Workers Union. So during these periods, we had membership of well over 12,000. But now, obviously, what is happening, there are serious changes in that particular area.
Tell us about this. What is happening? What is happening with how much membership do we have?
You recall that pre the ISAP eras, banks were employing a lot of employees, if you like. Each bank would be employing in excess of 1,000, in excess of 2,000 in one financial institution. But with the changes that have happened thus far, they've seen a lot of reduction. Firstly, back then, with the introduction of the ATMs, and as we've been progressing, technology coming in and taking over, numbers have also continued to come down. So this is one of the negative effects that we are also seeing.
Wow. I think we're going to have interest in looking at the effects of digitalization and modernization for the sector, because what you just said is actually quite depressing. You think when you've got 12,000 membership, you want to maintain that and maybe grow. You think also that with so many brands coming up, you would also have high numbers of workers as part of the union. Now, I want to step in a little bit further from just the membership. And do workers in the banking sector of today, the workers of today, do they understand the importance of being a member of your union?
Indeed, fortunately in our sector, we have a membership that is highly literate, so to speak, but equally with higher demands from the trade union as well. We have a trade union density of over 80% in most of these financial institutions. And we have got programs and structures that are in place that ensure that we are visible in all these institutions, to ensure that from time to time our membership is kept abreast of all things that will be happening in the sector, so that they also keep interest in the trade union in terms of what it provides and so forth.
All right. So we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we want to understand some of these changes that are happening in the banking sector, so that we also get to appreciate where it is that we place our money, how the employees are also taken care of. Join me after this short break. Welcome back, Zimbabwe. This is Zimbabwe. My name is Yvonne Muchaka, and on the program I have the Acting General Secretary of the Zimbabwe Banks and Allied Workers Union, Mr. Ngandu. And we want to understand and appreciate the things that are happening in that sector. Now we know that it was started way back in 1965, and it is getting only stronger with its own challenges, for sure. Now, Mr. Ngandu, I want you to take us through the challenges that the banking sector is experiencing in 2020 Zimbabwe.
So the banking sector in Zimbabwe is confronted by a myriad of challenges, if you like. We've witnessed of late a number of bank closures. If you talk of 2003, 2004 era, and also around 2013 and so forth, where we then lost the then kingdom and also allied banking. So that's one of the key challenges where we have witnessed bank closures. Now, related also to bank closures and the digitalization that I spoke to earlier on, we've seen that some of the banks, although they had presence in most of the cities across the country, in most of the towns, including growth points, if you recall, way back in the 90s and so forth, but they've reduced their footprint in all those vast areas. They're now concentrated in a few towns or in a few cities, if you like. Some of the banks going to extreme. If you speak of Standard Chartered Bank, for example, which was present in most of these towns and cities, of late they've reduced their branch network to 3, and we hear from the circulation that we've seen so far that they're also going to close up on the branch, meaning that they're going to be left with 2 branches, one in Bulawayo and one in Harare. So this digitalization challenge is quite key. We've also witnessed massive retrenchments across the sector, from the various banks. Just about last year, we saw retrenchments in CBZ. We also saw retrenchments in First Capital Bank as well as Standard Chartered Bank. As we speak, we are also dealing with the retrenchments that are currently underway also at First Capital Bank. So retrenchment is a challenge that continues to bedevil us as a sector. Yes.
Now, the retrenchments, are they informed by the digitalization that needs to cut on workers, or is it because of the economy that is just, I'm not too sure how people are doing it, but are people still banking the way they used to? Like back then, I remember my parents used to have an account with POSB, an account with ZNB or something, and they would be saying, we're going to have some interest. We keep money in the bank because there's going to be extra money. Now it's like when you put money in the bank, the next day, they're taking charges. There's nothing for me in the bank. Could it be one of the reasons why we see these massive retrenchments?
Indeed, with digitalization that is coming on board, it means changing the banking system or the banking as we used to know it. But from our perspective as a trade union, we are looking at responsible digitalization, but also responsible retrenchment, if you like. Because with certain institutions, you may see retrenchments in some sort of just like a fashion, because other institutions are retrenching. They also may want to retrench, but maybe their systems are not yet up there for them to be able to cope with the business that goes with it. That is why, from our perspective as a trade union, we are lobbying that government be able to intervene, looking at the carnage that has happened so far, the massive job losses that have happened so far. It must be able to intervene so that we have responsible digitization. What am I talking about here? There must be a balance, in terms of the job losses that occur, and also the benefits out of those particular job losses. But to the contrary, for the time being, we are seeing that this digitalization is mostly benefiting the corporates and not other stakeholders such as government and or employers or the society. Government, in the sense that the revenue that it was deriving from employees as they were paying their their taxes, is obviously going to shrink as a result of this particular retrenchment. And obviously, society at the end of the day will be burdened as a result of that. So by saying there has to be a trade-off when organizations are retrenching, government must be able to put in place some policies which puts some taxes of some sort so as to balance the interests of the various stakeholders, to dissuade employers to just retrench for the sake of retrenching.
Right. And you mentioned that there needs to be that trade-off between the retrenchee and those that are being retrenched, the workers. How is that really affecting society in general, these retrenchments?
All right. So obviously, if workers are retrenched, they've lost their jobs. We are talking about employees who are supporting their own families and also the extended families, that goes with it. I'm sure you and I, as Africans, you understand the issue of the extended family that is there. So first and foremost, that whole family and the extended family, they are affected as a result of such retrenchment. And that definitely affects society. And then the issue of, you are aware that our country and unemployment is very high.
Yeah.
And when those workers, because they are now unemployed, they have to go and compete in the informal sector, which already is the larger chunk of our economy, as it were. So definitely the society will be affected in one way or another.
Right. Right now, we want to take another short break, and when we come back to conclude our discussion, we want to learn about the measures that can be taken, if any, to deal with the challenges of this sector. Join us after this short break. All right, welcome once again to In Pursuit of Social Justice, a program that we bring to you so that we understand what is happening in our society, in our economy, and bring up solutions, ways of dealing with those challenges. Now, the Labour movement has said that it is calling for what they call social justice struggle days, because they are saying the distribution of wealth is unequal in our country. And to help me unpack a particular sector, I've invited the acting General Secretary for Zimbabwe Bankers and Allied Zimbabwe Banks and Allied Workers Union, General Secretary Ngandu. Now, we're just talking about how government can intervene to deal with what we call responsible digitalization of the banks as well as responsible retrenchment in the banking sector. Now, we want to move on. As you know, we are in the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, and today is day 8. Now, I want to understand in the banking sector, how prevalent are the cases of gender-based violence in the workplace?
All right. First of all, just appreciating the role that the organization is playing in appreciating issues of social justice, particularly the struggles that are confronting us as labor, because probably the mainstream media may also be avoiding to put up those issues on the radar, as it were. So we appreciate you in that regard, because workers, if you recall, around 2018, workers get reasonable salaries, if you like, in US dollars, which have been eroded over time due to issues of inflation, due to issues of currency volatility. So the cry amongst most workers in the finance sector and also in Zimbabwe is that they would want their salaries to be paid at the levels that they were in 2018. That is why you would have seen the ZCTU, also ZIBAWU, carrying out some campaigns each and every Monday, raising their hands, raising their voices about the issues of social justice. Because we're seeing this inequality where employers or corporates continue to want to amass a lot of wealth at the expense of workers who are being exploited. Because right now, whereas PDL may be around 17,956 or so, has been quite recent statistics, but the salaries that most workers earn are far less than $100 US, and that's terrible, and that's pathetic. So the union, amongst other issues, not only about issues of salaries, but they also look at a wide range of issues to protect their interests, looking at issues of discrimination that may occur in the workplace, so that workers are not discriminated either on the basis of gender, on the basis of race, and so forth. So we would want to ensure a fair working environment, as it were. So within the structures of the union, we have structures of women, we have structures of youth, and particularly the structure of women, is there to educate women and ensure that they are well knowledgeable about issues of gender-based violence. So as we are speaking, they are also carrying out their own campaigns in their own respective ways. But of course, they are inhibited now because we are in the COVID era in terms of meetings and workshops that they've done. But of course, they are also utilizing the social media and the platforms that are available to train and conscientize their members insofar as gender-based violence is concerned.
Wonderful. I like the fact that you highlight that something is actually being done. And you highlighted an issue that actually touched me, I don't know about you, and that's the issue of salaries as a GBV issue. You know, and that's really fundamental because once a worker is not satisfied, they take even their frustration back home, and that's why you see even cases of domestic violence rising. So it's really, really fundamental that as a nation we begin to look at these issues not in isolation. It is not just about the salary, but it is about the net effect that salary is able to do. So when workers are saying we're incapacitated, it means they understand their responsibilities back home to take care of their children, to feed them, to send them to school. So when they say we're incapacitated, we need to listen to that voice and begin to appreciate the implications of not having a salary that can actually do something for you. Right, and you raise another interesting point that I'm going to come back to you on. You say we have got departments for women and for youth. Where are the men in the education around GBV? Where are the men in the banking sector? Because we hear that 1 in 3 women is a victim or a survivor of GBV in our country. We also hear that men are the biggest perpetrators of this GBV. So where are the men in the sector?
All right, so the union obviously is what its own various structures that are there. But the ones that I've mentioned, the one for women and youth, was put there specifically to ensure that the voice of women, the voice of youth are also amplified. But in carrying out those trainings, the trainings cut across, will be including both men and women, because even if I'm a man here, there's obviously, my spouse who is I need to be well versed with all these things, understand them, so that I myself also do not practice gender-based violence, because it affects everywhere, at home, also at work.
Yeah.
So there is need for that cross-pollination so that it's much more effective.
Wonderful. All right, so we just want to round up this conversation, General Secretary. What are some of the areas that you feel government can really, really help in terms of assisting the banking sector? As you said, digitalization has affected you, and post-COVID, I don't know how the banking sector, how is it going to come back on this, and how can government facilitate this comeback for the sector?
Thank you. There is no doubt that the issue of COVID is affected the way that we've been doing business, and probably beyond COVID, business will never be the same. Just to take you back a little bit, at the onset of COVID, the banking sector was one of the institutions that were considered to be essential services. They were at the front line. But again, employers introduced some sort of shifts, that were obtaining employees at work, some working from home, and so forth. Although the thresholds have now sort of improved, you are looking at least 80% of the workers are now back at work, and another 20% is still working from home. But that may mean that going forward, employers may change the way that employees conduct their business.
Yeah.
So they'll be taking advantage of a number of things by letting you work from home, your resources, your electricity, telephones, and so forth. So it's like you less cost for the employers, less cost for rental space, and so forth. So no doubt that business is going to change the way it is done. But of course, we want this government to intervene and ensure that there is minimum disruption, especially insofar as the numbers are concerned, so that we do not impoverish workers, especially just coming out of COVID. So there is need for government intervention spoken about issues of the responsible digitalization that I've talked about, but beyond that, corporates or employers need to always act responsibly and sustainably in all the decisions that they are making, especially if they affect a number of stakeholders, employees, and society at large.
Wow, I think you have said so much, and I'm sure our policymakers, if they tune in to hear, they're going to take a lot of points for implementation. And hopefully, by the time we get to post-COVID-19, only God knows when that will be. I hope it will be soon. Our government and all the actors involved in terms of policy formulation will seriously look at the issues of social justice and the issues that people are generally fighting for as issues of national interest and of priority. General Secretary, I don't know if you've got any last words that you'd want to share with your constituency, stakeholders, policymakers, opinion makers, etc. in the world just before we wrap it up.
Right. So you would have seen the government workers, your teachers, your doctors, your nurses, as they were embarking in their own collective operations, which were confined in their own spaces. So the worry that we are seeing is that workers continue to fight their battles in isolation, whereas the issues that are confronting us require the workforce of Zimbabwe to come together and speak with one voice, so that government is able to intervene and be able to deal with issues of salaries, deal with issues of current currency volatility, deal with issues of inflation, deal with issues of PDL, so that workers have got sufficient disposable income, because they are incapacitated, as you have said, issues of medication, issues of school fees, so many challenges that are confronting workers, and as such, they need to be assisted at all levels, and that requires some policy shift. Of course, we hear them saying that they continue to use the ZIBAWU, but the recent budget speaks otherwise. It's still speaking to other elements and other components that are sounding more in US dollars than the ZIBAWU. If you go to the service station right now, if you want to access RTGS fuel, you can't find it. All the fuel is now found in US dollars, service station, and so forth. So that requires a shift. The government cannot pretend that problem is not there. They have to intervene and ensure that citizens are taken care of. The interests of various stakeholders are also taken into account. Not the kind of scenario that we are seeing, where they are not taking into account the interests, particularly of workers and other stakeholders. They pretend that all is well, while all is not well, and there is indeed a crisis, particularly for the working people in Zimbabwe. There is indeed a crisis, and they are indeed suffering, and they require urgent intervention from government and also from the corporate sector.
Maybe just also in closing, Parliament is going to sit to approve the budget that was presented by the Minister, Honorable Muchaka. Now, what advice would you give to our policymakers? What advice would you give to those legislators who are going to sit and debate the budget? What are the key factors that they need to highlight so that the plight of workers and all the issues that you're raising are dealt with?
Thank you for that particular question, because just on Monday, as Labour in Zimbabwe, under the banner of the CTU, we were deliberating on that particular budget. So some of the key issues that arose there were that whilst the government is doing much in order to increase its revenue, including taxing the informal sector and increasing the number of taxes and other revenue areas that are highlighted there, there is not much that is being done, especially when it comes to workers. If you look at the widening of their tax brackets, the bonus free and so forth, they'll be increasing the tax free from 5,000 to 10,000, whereas the PDO that I'm highlighting is 17,000. So where is the logic there? How then am I supposed to feed my family if I'm expected to use that particular 10,000, which is not enough at all? So we continue to see the tax regime that is there is not friendly to the workers, is not friendly to the society and the citizens. We are overtaxed. Also, the money transfer tax, that 2%, it's remaining there. While workers also pay VAT, they also pay the pay as you earn and so forth. So the Zimbabwean workers are overtaxed. So my plea to the parliamentarians is not looking at this, is to ensure that if where possible, workers need to be cushioned so far as tax issues are concerned.
Right. Right. Thank you so much, General Secretary, for this enlightening conversation.
Most welcome.
Thank you so much, Zimbabwe. I hope you've also captured one or two things that are important. We need to start having intelligent conversations that help both our nations. It's all fair and fine when we enjoy other areas, but when we don't deal with the fundamentals, we'll remain going around in circles, and the future will not be as bright as we hope that it will be. Thank you so much for joining me on In Pursuit of Social Justice and the team behind, the crew behind the scenes. Thank you so much, Zimbabwe, for joining us. Do join us again next time as we bring you more labor movement and more policy makers as we pursue social justice. I'm Yvonne Muchaka. This is Zim Daily, your choice, always first and fast. God bless you.